Hello, this is Dr. Jason Munsell. It is about noon. It is noon, well, 12:11, July 25th, 2017. What I'm going to try to do is go through a little bit of chapter 6, and actually I'm going to try to get through a little bit of chapter 7, sort of in my own way. I know I'm a little bit behind. I spent all day yesterday reading your prescriptions, and I was really pleased with them. Really great ideas that you brought from the book and your own experiences. And several of you have asked about the third big assignment, and that is the script for a TV show. If you've read my email that I sent this morning, I'm expanding that to other forms of mediated communication. For instance, commercials. That's the first thing that pops into my head. And I will be covering some of the stuff tomorrow that is most pertinent to your this assignment. So I'm not going to say a whole lot about it at all in this little lecture, but please take a look at the what the syllabus has to say about it. And if you do have any questions between now and tomorrow, when you get more information, please let me know. We are moving here. Oh, and I will continue to look at threads and tweets. I put a new forum up yesterday, and I'll put a new forum up today, actually, a little bit early. Oh, and for those of you who are graduating, see the email, and let me know if you have any questions. I am hitting the highlights here because, for the sake of time, I mean, this is perhaps was too ambitious. When I put all this stuff together, I always am a little bit too ambitious, thinking that we can cover so much stuff. I mean, we've got 4 weeks here, and this, yeah. Each one of these chapters actually could be an entire semester, but I like highlights. Oops, I goofed. 14 kids shared silly moments. Ooh, the hidden pictures. The fish are jumping. Life at a wildlife camp. This is probably, I want to find that one. Highlights, fun with a purpose. Dr. Munsell's communication courses. Fun with a purpose. The big picture. We are moving into sociocultural issues. And when we consider that, one theory that I think is really important to highlight here is the intersectionality theory. Human lives cannot be reduced to single characteristics. Bingo was his or her name-o. But that does not mean we are, like Jason equals white, male, highly educated, heterosexual from Oklahoma. That does not equal me, because I'm much more complex than that. But so it says, okay, so one implication of intersectionality theory is that, and it's also, we're trying to figure out and understand the complications of issues of identity and all that jazz, and how, at the micro level of personal identity and the macro level of how people perceive other people, dealing with issues of age, race, sexual orientation, physical ability, education, etc. And also the socio-cultural aspects of that, including sexism, racism, power, resources, public policy, but also homophobia, ableism, any sort of badism out there. One implication of intersectionality theory is that social position is not simply the sum total of different identities. For example, black plus lesbian plus woman does not equal black, lesbian, woman. That's sort of what I was just saying. So we have to understand that. Another implication is that it is infeasible to rank order the variables that influence social position. I am mostly black, but the woman part is also important. I mean, you can't do that. It's because it's trickier than that. It's muddier than that. It's messy. For instance, they give the example, which influences your life more, your sex or your race? You would probably say, I can't compare them, or it depends. I don't know, it depends on, in the end, the intersection of complex micro and macro level factors is different and more impactful than any factor on its own. And then says, when applied to health communication, intersectionality theory reminds us that categorizations such as older adults, persons with disability, the poor, mean very little by themselves. There's a lot of things going on there. For example, Hispanic immigrants in New Mexico communities say they are aware that diabetes may kill them one day, but many of them struggle daily just to feed their families, do not have health insurance, and feel that health professionals resent it when they use the community clinic. It also emphasizes that guesses and generalizations often have harmful consequences. We can't say, okay, this guy is this age, therefore this. I mean, we can't create those hasty generalizations. We have to get local. There is no substitute for getting to know people in terms of the overlapping identities and social structures that define life as they experience it. Achieving this level of localized knowledge may seem like a daunting challenge, but evidence suggests that it can be both rewarding and effective in terms of carrying out research, creating high-impact health campaigns, and developing effective health policies. So if anything, this intersectionality theory just asks us to appreciate the complexities of personal identity and sort of social cultural variables. You cannot pigeonhole folks. You cannot say, okay, this is a white woman, therefore this. You just can't do that. So which means when you're treating folks, if you're a caregiver, you can't say, oh, you are one of these types of people and therefore this. It's more complicated than that. So that intersectionality theory, I think, is really, really important as we consider these broader ideas of socio-cultural issues. What they go through here is several different types of socio-cultural variables. Socioeconomic status, health literacy, which I think is tied to that, but they sort of set that out as its own little section. They have issues of gender, obviously, issues of race and ethnicity, issues of age and language difference, and all sorts of different disabilities. So lots of stuff in here, and I have asked you for the form that I posted yesterday to pick one of these in your experience that perhaps resonates most with you and answer the questions. So, I'll let you read all the stuff, but I'm going to, again, highlight some stuff. So, starting with the socioeconomic, money, education, it all sort of is linked. There's lots of stuff going on. Bottom of 125 is very important. It says, education is such a powerful predictor of health in the United States that a 25-year-old woman who did not graduate from high school is likely to die 8.6 years sooner than a woman the same age with a college degree. The lifespan differential among men is even larger at 9.3 years. But it's not just about education as a variable. It is that folks who often cannot afford to get education experience poor living conditions, financial strain, stress, other disadvantages. Not like other people don't experience stress, but not like somebody in poverty who doesn't have health care. So there's lots of things in there that's really, really important. One, there's lots of things in here about why folks in low socioeconomic status brackets, whatever you want to call them, are not well treated. Oftentimes they receive less health and dental care, obviously, than other people. If you don't have health insurance, you're not going to get the care. And it's partly because of limited financial resources, but also because they tend to be dissatisfied with the care they receive, because it's not very good. So they avoid it because they can't afford good good health care. If you put health and care together, it comes out hair. Hair today, gone tomorrow. Hair du jour. For the most part, physicians in the United States consider patients to be proactive if they are assertive, ask questions. This is key. I put a star by this in the book. And engage actively in conversations. However, people of low socioeconomic status are typically less assertive than other patients. They tend to ask fewer questions and reveal less about their health concerns. This may be because they are not highly knowledgeable about health issues, and they are intimidated by health professionals, and or they consider it disrespectful to question or challenge them. Then, whatever that reason, downward spiral, health professionals may perceive that low socioeconomic status patients are uninterested and apathetic. As a result, they themselves may come off as less attentive and less immediate than they normally could or would, which can further heighten patients' anxiety and reticence. And basically, it says that health professionals tend to offer less information and guidance to patients who are in the low socioeconomic brackets. In nearly 6,000 patients interactions studied, physicians were twice as likely to discuss cancer screening with patients who were college graduates as with patients who had not finished high school. Information deficits such as these are particularly unfortunate because people of low socioeconomic status are typically more fearful about their health than most people and are often less able to judge the severity. Yeah, sad. And the knowledge gap, tricky to negotiate treatments when patients have limited means. Preconceived notions can be a stumbling block to communication. Many of the general practitioners, this is another key, another star. Many of the general practitioners, Sarah Williams and colleagues interviewed, consider that people are impoverished mostly because they do not try hard enough to try to overcome their circumstances. Said one doctor, they don't want to change their situation. They are used to it. They no longer have the courage to change it. They are not interested in their health. They don't see the advantage of, for example, healthy food. So basically, there's a lot of stereotyping and everything like that. And this goes back to, this is not in the book per se, but one of the biggest cultural values in Western culture, particularly in the United States, is individualism. Which is cool. Yay, me! But it's problematic because when we look at the whole American dream, anybody can do it. You can do it. We all know that's not really the case. You can work your ass off and still, if work translated obviously to the amount of money that you receive via salary or whatever, it doesn't work that way. But in our society, we tend to think if people are successful, whatever that might mean, it's because of them. They're hardworking, they blah, blah, blah. If you're not successful, it's your own damn fault. Right? That's problematic, particularly when we have certain public policies and all that, institutionalized racism, blah, 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 blah. So we have what communication scholars call the fundamental attribution error. And that is when we see people do things, we attribute that to something. For instance, I went to several restaurants last week, and we all enjoy going to restaurants. My favorite is McDonald's. I'm loving it. We went to this really fancy tasting place. Have I done this? Told this before? I just think it would be cool to have like a tasting menu. And with like fast food stuff.